Welcome to STEAM for Tweens. I'm Miss Jennifer here at the Warrenton Library. In today's program, we're going to talk about pictures made with pixels. If you picked up your supplies here at the library, you have everything you'll need to complete today's activities at home, except for a pencil with an eraser, markers, colored pencils or crayons, and a ruler may also be helpful, but is not strictly necessary. If you didn't get a bag, you'll also need to gather graph paper. In 1886, French artist Georges Seurat invented a new style of painting in which small, distinct dots of color are applied in patterns to form an image. This style was called pointillism. The technique relies on the ability of the eye and mind of the viewer to blend the color spots into a fuller range of tones. The more dots, the more accurate and detailed the image. Some of Seurat's paintings are massive with lots and lots of dots to look very realistic and took him years to paint. Now, a digital camera does a similar thing in no time at all. The screens we use to look at digital images are made up of lots of individual elements called pixels. Pixels are the smallest unit of data in a picture. Whenever you look at a digital image, including this video of me on your screen right now, you are looking at a complex image being turned into a simpler image. If you were to be able to magnify your TV screen or computer monitor many, many times, you'd see that the entire screen is arranged with thousands of small dots or squares like a piece of graph paper. Each dot or square is a pixel. To make a picture, each pixel is filled in with a single color, and many pixels are placed next to one another to form an image. Resolution refers to the number of pixels wide and high an image is. The more pixels making up the image, the higher the resolution it has. Depending on the image's resolution, the image may be clearer or blurrier, with greater or less accuracy of color and complexity. By splitting the image into small squares and ignoring finer detail, we get an easy way to store, manipulate, and transmit images. Higher resolution pictures have more detail and you see the squares less. It is less pixelated. It also means you can see more fine detail. Smaller things may disappear in a low resolution image. And here's an example for you. Here is a higher resolution image of the cover of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. You can see it's pretty clear, can read everything clearly. And now let's take a look at a lower resolution image of the same book cover. You can see especially all of the squares and pixels around the title and how less readable the text is. You can use graph paper to turn a detailed image into a pixel picture. I'd recommend starting with a simpler image without much detail. So here is an example. I have taken this butterfly and turned it into a pixel picture. So I turned a more complex image into a simple picture made with squares. You can also do this. Something simple to try might be an emoji, to take an emoji and turn it into a pixel picture. So you can try pixelating whatever images you'd like. Remember, each square represents one pixel, and each one can only contain a single color. You don't have to color all the squares in an image. So here's an example of that. Here are a few different hearts. So you can see that the red of the heart is filled in, but we left the shine on the heart there as blank. So that's going to be part of our image, but we didn't color it in. So you don't have to color all the squares, but if you choose to color it, you have to color all of it. Some images are simple and some are more complex. So here is a slice of pizza and a little froggy that I drew. And so the possibilities are endless. You can make as many pictures as you like with just some simple graph paper. So your pictures can be simple, like our emoji friend here, or highly detailed, like this picture of a house. And if you get it really closely, you can see the edges are made up of squares. And so that is a pixel house. 8-bit color graphics are a method of storing image information in a computer's memory or in an image file so that each pixel is represented by 8 bits or 1 byte. The maximum number of colors that can be displayed at any one time is 256. You can learn more about bits and bytes on our STEAM for Tweens coding keychains video. The more colors in an image, the more bits are needed to store each pixel's colors. In order to turn a larger color image into a simpler 8-bit image, the image must go through a process called color quantization. Color quantization reduces the number of different colors in an image while keeping it as visually similar as possible to the original. Color quantization is critical for displaying images with many colors on devices that can only display a limited number of colors. Let's start a pixel coloration activity together that you can finish on your own. So you can have your own pixel image using this worksheet in your bag. Now this is a color by number, and if you look very closely, you'll see that the squares each have a number in them, and it corresponds to this color key on the side. So this is where you're going to need your colored pencils or markers or crayons. Let's tilt our camera down and start this one together, and I'll give you an idea of what it'll look like when it's done. So let's start off with the number 0. I see a number 0 right here, so we're going to fill that one in with black. Remember, each square has to be one color. You have to fill the whole square with that color. Let's move on to the number 1 now. I see a 1 over here, so we're going to fill that one in with red, because that's what our color key says to do. Number 2s are orange. So I'm just giving you a little brief example of how this works, and you can work on it at home. And I will show you an example of what it can look like when it's done. Now, I don't want to spoil the surprise of what image you're making at home will be. So here's an example. This is not what you're making, but this is what your pixel picture could look like. So no spoilers, but this is how your pixel picture might turn out. And you can see we have a ladybug here with legs made up of squares. That's probably the best example in this image of detailed part of a ladybug being turned into something more simple, like squares to represent legs. And we also have a little bonus activity that you can do with graph paper, which is actually use it for graphing. Graphs are an important part of mathematics and a great way to visually show information, but they can also be used to make pictures. So this is the second worksheet that you have in your bag. You have a sheet with a whole bunch of numbers on it, and we'll talk about what those mean in a minute. And you also have a graph paper grid here. And you will notice that the numbers run along the bottom and the side, and they're lettered with an X on the bottom and a Y up and down the side, because coordinates in a graph are presented as an XY. Your first number is your X and your second number is your Y, and that's what these are. They're a whole list of XY coordinates. So we're going to turn this and this into another pixel picture. And this is going to be almost a little like connect the dots. So this will tell us where to put the dots on your grid. And then once you have your image, you can connect all the dots and color it in. So let's work together to start this. And then I will also show you an example of what this might look like when you're done. Now, this can get a little tricky. So this is when you're going to maybe need your eraser. Let's turn our screen down and take a look here. So we have, let me turn it this way for you all so you can see it more clearly. We have the x-axis and the y-axis, and we have our list of numbers. So we're going to start up here at the top, And there's little handy check boxes that you can fill in as you go, so you keep track of where you are in your picture. And it says that our first coordinate needs to be placed at 0, 1. That means on the x-axis, we want it to be at 0, and on the y-axis, we want it to be on 1. So we don't have to go far for the x-axis. That's staying at 0 right here. And then 0, 1, we're going to go up 1 and place our first dot. So we finished that one. Let's do another. 2, we're going to count over 1, 2, and then we're going to count up 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to put our next dot there. And you can, again, handy to have a ruler, not strictly necessary, but if you want to have nice clean lines, it might be helpful to connect like that. So we did that one. Let's do the next. We're going to go 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 3, 1, 2, 3, and put a dot. And we'll connect those. Mark that we've done it. We're going to do 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2. So we're going here. Connect these. Oh, this is why we have our eraser. That one went a little astray. All right, and last one we'll do together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1. So we're going to connect these. All right, and then it says stop, so we're going to stop. And then we move on to the next row and the next and the next. And you will end up making a connect the dots picture that you can color in that won't look like this, but here's an example of what one may look like. So that gives you an example of what you're looking for. Now yours won't be a robot, it'll be something else, but just by connecting those, finding those coordinates and connecting those dots, you will make your own pixel picture. You may wonder why graphics from older video games look so blocky compared to the high quality images of today's games. The first home video game consoles could not store or display much data, so only a few pixels could be shown on the screen at a time. Because of this, the video game characters and other video game art only used a few pixels. Today's video game consoles can store much more data, and the characters are higher resolution. Image quality is much better now when resolution refers to the pixel density or the number of pixels per unit distance, such as per inch, not just the total number of pixels. In addition to increasing the total number of pixels, modern video games also use smaller pixels. This means that more pixels can fit in the same amount of space. So when you look at our original Mario here, and Yoshi, you may wonder how we played video games with characters that look like that when you have such modern graphics now that are much more realistic. But some video games still use blocky graphics, and you might be familiar with these, which are of course from Minecraft, which uses pixel images. So we have a character there and a block from Minecraft. So now it can be used as a style choice, in addition to the fact that that's how they had to use their graphics back when video game consoles were first made. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Feel free to come by the library to check out these books featuring more information about art, graphs, and computers. We also have books on photography that you can enjoy. The theme for next month's program is crime scene investigation. Don't forget to register for a supply bag to pick up everything you'll need to participate at home. In the meantime, head over to our website, fauquierlibrary.org, click on the research button and select science, math, and environment from the list shown. There you'll find Science Online, a resource featuring articles, videos, experiments, and activities to enjoy on a range of scientific topics. Thanks for watching.